All movies reviewed on the show are properties of their respective film companies. Please keep in mind that this review show is done by two silly college kids. It's not to be taken seriously, but constructive criticism is appreciated.
Last Airbender, Last Airbender, Last Airbender, Last Airbender, Last Airbender, Last Airbender, Last Airbender.
You're gonna fanboy all over this movie and give it a 10 out of 5, aren't you?
I have waited a bloody year to see this bloody movie, and your bloody cynicism will not prevent this movie to see me any harm in it, okay?
Snap out of it, man. We got a job to do.
You're right, I am a calm, at peace mind, semi-professional, amateuristic, noob-tacular movie critic. And I... Last Airbender!
Hello, movie fanatics. I am /X Blade. And welcome to the third episode of Seth and Ty's Extreme Viewing Experience. Today we'll be looking at...
Last Airbender!
Directed by M. Night Salamander, Salmonella... The Last Airbender is the first part of a three-film adaptation of the original TV series created by Brian Kioski and Michael Dante DiMartino. It is also noted that the name of the movie was changed due to James Cameron being a sneaky early bird and getting the rights to the name before M. Night could.
The story takes place in the world where the elements of air, water, earth, and fire...
And heart!
Shut up, Monty. No one liked you in Captain Planet anyways. Are manipulated by the benders that come from the elements from the nations in which they control. You have the Fire Nation, Earth Kingdoms, Water Tribes, and the Air Nomads. In seeking world power, the Fire Nation goes Ziegheil and starts a world war, and the only person who can stop them is the Avatar.
The Avatar.
Avatar. Aang.
It's on.
What?
That's what they said in the movie.
You haven't seen the TV series, have you? Suck a slap. Anywho, the only person who can stop them is the Avatar Aang, who has the ability to bend all the elements. Now, 100 years ago, the Fire Lord ordered the extermination of all the air nomads, and Aang escaped, and thus becoming the last of his kind. And he accidentally froze himself within a block of ice, and years later, Katara and Sokka freed him.
It's pronounced Soka.
And here is funny. And now... God, I hate that name. And now, the banished Fire Prince Zuko seeks to capture him to regain his honor, and he does so under the guidance of his uncle Iroh.
Hero! Aang and company go to the North Pole to learn how to properly water bend from the Northern Water Tribe and try to start a rebellion against the Fire Nation whilst in the occupied Earth Kingdom. Will Aang fulfill his destiny and save the world? Well, you could be like Peter Jackson and actually look at the source material, or you could just watch us. So, as with any M. Night movie, the visuals were fantastic, the special effects were great, the backgrounds, the combat, everything in that field was great.
And the choreography, like the fighting styles of each bending, were actually derived from each martial arts that was based when they were creating the TV series. Except now that I think about it, there was a whole lot of moving, but no bending.
Well, at least in this movie, the costumes actually looked like, they weren't costumes. They actually looked like real clothing that the people would wear.
But why did Zuko have, hair, and the Firebender's army had helmets that had the ponytail? Doesn't make sense. But...
Oh, and while we're on the subject, the casting was not racist, even though all those little internet whiners said it was.
But Aang was just completely whiny and not a fun-loving child, and he was always nostalgic. And Zhao was supposed to be a big, egotistical guy, but he was whiny and cowardly, and it's played by the dude from The Daily Show with Jon Stewart.
Well, at least the script, put the plot out there with some, moving the story along with good character, plot development.
But every other sentence was exposition. It allowed no character growth. The pacing of the story was just extremely forced. And Firelord, I was like, what was up? He was in plain sight. He should have been dark, menacing, surrounded in shadows and fire. And he actually cared for his son in this movie. Why would you do that? You banish your son since you love your daughter more and you really don't care about him. But he's like, if you hurt Zuko anyway, I will kill you. But like that doesn't make sense. And the way he acted in the series, he was just this collected evil guy. He was an evil villain. And here he was just like, what's up, Frank? How's it going? It does not make sense. And Monkey so come on. He was just like a young, healthy, buff guy. I mean, granted, there's something wrong with that, but I mean, if you're gonna call it The Last Airbender, you might as well make it canon to the original series. I mean, Monk Johnson was just this lovable old guy who would make you laugh. He was just lovable and cherishable.
Okay, look. They had to do this to move the plot along to the story. You told me that the first movie is based off the first season of the Avatar series, which is roughly about 20 episodes. So you'd have to imagine that they'd have to cut out a whole bunch of stuff from the series in order to bridge it down to an hour-and-a-half movie.
But it seems like the movie went out of its way just to screw up every single little detail. I mean, there was the Earth Kingdom prison, the Hall of the Avatars, the placement of the Fire Lord's palace. I mean, it was like India, but not in a volcano. That doesn't make sense. And where the flying bison was Suki in the Kyoshi War?
Let's just cut to the chase.
Fine.
Okay, overall and by itself, this is a decent movie, unlike other adaptations like Dragon Ball Evolution.
But to a true fan of the series, this movie is insulting. And the 3D actually did nothing to improve it. I saw it twice, and the person I was with got his glasses dirty, so I gave him mine since I've already seen it and I really don't care after the first time. And I watched it, and quite literally, there was almost no difference. It was just like, there's the main characters in the front of the screen. The background was just fuzzy. That was it. There was really no difference at all.
Is there anything that you're going to say that is not bathed in crying or crapping your diapers?
I actually do. Well, it actually does set up the next two movies right, besides the fact that Sozin's comic comes in the summer, not in 3 years. But I mean, it's already gave the setting. It's stated, everyone knows it. So I mean, therefore, when you do the next movie, you're not going to be drowned in boring expositions. I mean, you can go ahead and tell a decent story. And there's one thing I did like. In the original TV series, firebenders would just go... I wish we had cool special effects, but... yeah. Anyways, they would just like create fire out of nothing. This one, I mean, bending is truly just taking an element from point A to point B, and this is what they did. They would have a source of fire with them at all times, and actually go... and, at the end, Iro goes like, awesome.
So, overall, we are going to give this movie a 3.5, 3 being rent it and 4 buying it on DVD. If you're not a fan of this series, I would suggest to rent it. If you like collections, then I would say go ahead and buy it. And also, if you know all the lines to Katara's opening in the actual TV series.
Well, thanks, and tune in. They could have been friends.
Never leave the home without one.
That movie was so bad. I had such high hopes for it. He took my M. Night Shyamalan took my heart and killed. Cactus juice from season 2. Saka approved. If it really does work. Drink cactus juice. It's the quinziest. It'll quench ya. Woo!